Guys, as I've said a number of times, we live in the golden age of firearms. I mean, there are so many different choices, and there continues to be new innovations, new upgrades to even existing designs that give us a lot of choices. This year we reviewed quite a few handguns, but there were 5 that really stood out. And to be honest with you, it was a difficult choice to pick out those 5 because there were a lot of other guns that came really close. But I decided to just limit myself to 5. I do have a couple of honorable mentions, and I'm going to tell you why I feel that these are really just exceptional guns for 2021. Now, a couple of these came from Gun Zone deals, and we really appreciate Nate for sending guns to us that we can review and bring to you guys. We did have a couple of new releases that were introduced from the manufacturer, and again, we appreciate those as well. And we appreciate Fiocchi for sponsoring our ammo. Now, starting off is the Beretta 92X Performance. While this is not a list in order of my top favorites, it's just the top 5, so it's random. But this is definitely one that should top the list because it is a Beretta 92 all steel frame. In fact, it's all stainless steel. It's just a beautiful gun. One of the things about this gun is it weighs 48 ounces. So it is heavy, but it's made to be heavy. It's made to be a competitive pistol. Let's go ahead and drop our magazine. You know, you have your standard 15 round magazine, and then chamber's empty. Now, one thing you'll notice is that when the hammer is in the rear position, you don't have a decocker. It is a frame mounted safety that locks the hammer into the rear position. You can carry this cocked and locked, drop it, and then you can fire. This is definitely a cut above the Beretta 92. Of course, you have your accessory rails on the front. You have front and rear cocking serrations. One of the big things too about this pistol is that the controls are made as gas pedals. So if I want to put my thumb on my safety and I want to put my thumb right here on my takedown lever, it actually comes out, and this helps mitigate recoil. You have a blacked out rear sight that's fully adjustable, and then we have a fiber optic rod, and that is dovetailed in, so if you want to switch the sights out, you can. The beaver tail has been cut down, and it does have that more steep grip angle that your Beretta 92 has that humps out somewhat. This is more of a 1911 grip angle. The serrations on the grips are just excellent. I mean, the checkering's beautiful, and then we have just serrations on the bottom. Beveled magwell, which is generously beveled, easy to get those magazines in and out. And of course, it is in 9mm. Now, one of the big things about this pistol is, again, it just eats the recoil because of the heft of it. I mean, again, you know, 48 ounces is not light, and that's unloaded. So once you put your rounds in there, it can be fairly heavy, but it really allows you to get on target really fast. And then, of course, with the controls that are extended out past the frame, I mean, you're able again to get those gas pedals and utilize that recoil mitigation. With the grip angle being a 1911 grip angle, you know, it's a natural pointing gun, which is really great for competitive shooters. But this can also be used as a home defense firearm as well. Definitely has a lot of heft, but yet, again, a lot of recoil mitigation. Now, as far as the trigger, you know, you have a smooth, super smooth pull for double action. With single action, very crisp break. Then reset, it's really fast. You will notice that the slide has been beefed up just a touch, and again, that just gives it the weight that it needs to be a very competitive pistol. So guys, if you're in love with the Beretta 92s, the 92X is the top of the food chain. I have a number of Berettas, and really the heft of this pistol is something else. In fact, when you pick up your standard 92, you feel like it's light as a feather. Next on the list, the Springfield Armory XD Elite. This is a 10mm XD, and one of the big things about 10mm, I love it just in itself. It is a super powerful round. You can get multiple different loads from full house down to pretty much 40 caliber velocities. But one of the big things about the XD is the grip ergonomics. Because of the 10mm grip, typically, you know, you have a thicker grip, unless you have a 1911. And for striker fire pistols, my Glock 29, for instance, or my 20, it's a really thick handgun. And so with this grip, it's a lot more ergonomic. And then, of course, you have your bevel here at the bottom. If you have really large hands, that could interfere a little bit, but overall, I mean, this gives it something to really mitigate your recoil. And then you just place your hand, get it down, and man, I'll tell you what, this hex optic that came with it is just excellent. I mean, it's a great combination. But of course, you can go without the optic if you just like to shoot with sights. We have a U-notch at the rear, and we have a fiber optic rod at the front, and of course these are interchangeable with other sights that fit the XDMs. Front and rear cocking serrations, accessory rail. It does have a grip safety, which some people like, some people don't, but for me, I'm gripping the pistol anyway. Plus, I grew up shooting 1911s, so it's pretty much home for me. Of course, it is a 10-round magazine. They are stainless steel, and they're just excellent quality. Black nitride matte finish on it, which is really nice. It's going to hold up to wear, and it's just a really smooth firearm, and yet it has that ergonomics that allow you to hold on to it, and especially with 10mm. Now, one thing about 10mm is it's not for the faint of heart. I mean, it has some recoil, but that just means that more energy is being pushed down range. And the great thing about 10mm is even four-legged predators. I mean, this is an excellent gun to have on your side if you're out in the wild. But really, with the XD Elite, the recoil is very manageable. It has a lot to do with the way this gun is set up, but the ergonomics play a huge part in that. And again, because it's not so thick, it allows you to really have a full grip on the pistol, and yet you don't feel like it's going to come out of your hand. Now here in 2022, we're going to check this out next to the Smith & Wesson new 10mm. We'll see how that works. But so far in 2021, this has been the best out on the market. Now we're going to take things in another direction, and we have the Ruger Lcp Max. The Lcp and Lcp2 have been extremely popular because of their size. They're so small, they do utilize 380 ACP, and they're very easy to conceal. And it's one of the reasons why that the Lcp and Lcp2 were massively popular with concealed carry, but also with female shooters, because it's so easy to incorporate into their lifestyle. With the Lcp Max, we have a 10+1 magazine, which we're going to go ahead and drop it out. And you can see it's kind of beveled at the top, but this holds 10 rounds. You can get an additional magazine with an extended base plate that'll hold 12+1. Check the chamber and it's empty. And so that gives you a lot of capability with 380 ACP, which is at the bottom of the self-defense acceptable calibers. Now, one of the big things too is that the Lcp2, which we have here, it's almost identical as far as the slide. Here you can see the Lcp Max comes out just a little bit, and it's honestly only about 1/10 of an inch. And really, to be honest with you, the grip on the Lcp2 feels a lot more natural. It doesn't feel bigger. With the Lcp2, it's super thin. And while I carried these quite a bit because they're so small and thin, I was limited to 6+1. Here, I've got 10+1 or 12+1. And that is a huge factor when carrying concealed. But also the trigger was improved. You do have dovetail sights, so you can switch these out. You do have a little notch at the back for recoil, and with this small little slide, that is really a big plus. Also, over the standard LCP, this does hold open on the last round, as does the LCP2. But the trigger is vastly improved as well. In fact, when we did our full review, we went through the trigger of both the Lcp2 and the Lcp Max, and this is definitely a huge improvement. It has improved magazine feed lips, it has improved ramp, it has an improved extractor, which is much longer and it's more reliable than the standard Lcp2. But also, the way this is set up, there is a slight delay after you fire your round, which mitigates some of the recoil. One of the things I found is that it is super soft shooting, which I can't say necessarily about the LCP or the LCP2 for that matter, which is a little bit better than the original LCP. The LCP Max really is a vast improvement out on the range. So you're getting more round capacity, you're getting better reliability, and you're getting softer recoil. And when we tested these side by side with the LCP2, there's definitely a difference. And again, you have interchangeable sights compatibility. And it's really nice to see a double stack 380 ACP hit the market that joins right in with all the micro 9s that are being double stacked that are coming out. Very soft to shoot, whether you're shooting rapid, whether you're shooting slow. I mean, it just is very reliable. We had zero malfunctions, and that's saying something with a really small frame little pistol. But this is really considered a pocket pistol. But again, excellent for concealed carry. Number 4 on the list is the PSA or Palmetto State Armory Dagger. This was actually released in 2020, but there were some production things that they had to work out, and they really didn't hit production until 2021. And guys, I had never held one of these until I received this one from Palmetto State Armory. When I got it, I was like, okay, this is a Glock compatible Gen 3. All the parts are compatible, but the slide has really been styled, cut down, smoothed out. I mean, that black nitride finish on here is absolutely beautiful. And then the grip, which is a vast improvement over your standard Glock. It's been rounded off. It has those laser etch texturing all throughout, and it just has a great feel to it. Now let's make sure the gun's unloaded. We're going to drop our magazine. It does come with a PMag, but of course it is Glock mag compatible. So yes, it does take Glock mags. And the chamber's empty. It is based on the Glock Model 19 size. Now this is the Gen 5. I just happen to have it instead of my Gen 3. But overall, as far as the grip, you can see it's much more rounded off. The slide has been beveled and cut back, so it's not as blocky. And yet, one of the huge advantages of the PSA Dagger is that it comes in around $300, which is phenomenal. You also have Glock compatible sights front and back, but these are metal sights that are included with the pistol, so that's going to also give you an advantage. And we do have an accessory rail very similar to the Glock. High undercut here, so you don't get that Glock knuckle that you get with your standard Glock, and the front of the trigger guard has been cut and contoured. Also, we have a little bit of an extension right here at the takedown lever. Also, we have a little bit slightly longer beaver tail type effect here at the top, and so it just cuts in just a little bit. It's going to allow you to get closer into the handgun, and that's going to allow for better shooting, better accuracy. While shooting it, I mean, it shoots like a Glock 19, but the big difference is the grip. I mean, it is a totally different feel to it. It's much more ergonomic. You just wrap your hand around it. That slight little beaver tail at the back, it also helps you to mitigate some of the recoil. And so it's a really softer shooting gun even than the Glock 19. And guys, I am a Glock 19 fan. I mean, that is one of my go-to guns. And this is riding right there along with it. But again, guys, the big coup for this pistol, other than all the great features, is that it comes in around the $300 mark. And that's just amazing. Number 5 on the list is the Arrex Delta M. Guys, if you've never shot the Arrex Delta series, even the original, these are excellent guns. They are super thin, and yet they do carry 15 rounds in the magazine. Let's go ahead and make sure the gun's unloaded. We're going to drop our magazine, check the chamber, and it's empty. Again, 15 rounds. They do have extended base plates. Of course, front and rear cocking serrations. The Delta M has the new optics cut, so you can place your favorite optic on here. You can change out your sights easily enough, dovetailed at the front, and real nice 3-slot Picatinny rail. These came out of Slovenia. And the Arrex Zero, which is a double single action pistol based really closely on the SIG P226, those are excellent firearms. Now this is the original Delta by Arrex, and one thing about this gun, which I still really like the original, is that it's more squared off and it has more sharper corners. With the Delta M, they've molded all that in, so the grip is much more ergonomic. Really, everything else is pretty much the same. But that's one of the big coups for this pistol with the M, is that the grip has been contoured really nicely, and it does have the laser etch texturing instead of the pyramid shapes that we find here. But you can see it's kind of a blocky, very squared off type grip. And I think that the Delta M is a much more appealing grip. And plus, this does come in a long slide version as well. And they did add the optics plate. One of the big things, though, to me about the Arrex Delta is how easy it is to shoot at the range. And it's very pointable. It's really thin. It's easy to get on target. And then with this grip, you just feel like you have a good solid grip on the handgun. It has the same round capacity as your Glock 19, and yet it's considerably thinner. And that's one of the reasons why this to me is really more like the size of the Glock 48. A little bit thicker, but again, you're carrying 15 rounds in the factory magazine, which is a big plus. Kind of comes in between the 19 and the 48. So it's a nice thin handgun, yet it shoots like a full-size gun. Now guys, this was a hard decision for runners-up because really this could be right there in with the contenders. But this is the Taurus Gx4. And it's one of the new Micro 9s. This holds 11+1. We're going to go ahead and drop the magazine. These are Metgar mags. And then check the chamber and it's empty. They are making extended magazines for these, so you can even up that capacity for a very small package. About the same size as your SIG P365. There are some features with this that even surpass that, and that really surprised me. First off, you have your laser etched texturing all the way through. And you had this really deep cut right here, so you can really get your hand deep into the pistol. And this is going to help you mitigate recoil. It's going to give the pistol more controllability, and it's very ergonomic, even for a small handgun. Of course, you have your blade style trigger safety, no frame safety, which I really like. On the G3s, some of those still have the frame safety. I like going without it. You have front and rear cocking serrations. We have this gas nitride finish on it that makes it a very matte finish. We have one of the Holosun, and this is one of the 407Ks, and it really fits well on this firearm. Your sights are Glock compatible, so you can switch those out. We have a blacked out rear sight at the back, and then of course we have just a white dot at the front. But even though these sights are not suppressor height sights, you can still get the edge of the sights even with the optic on. And you do retain your sight, which I really like. Again, this is the Toro model because it does have an optics cut, but the standard GX4 is just excellent as well. But one of the big things that separates the GX4 from other Micro 9s is the internal chassis system. And there is a stainless steel chassis that runs through it. Guys, it really smooths out the slide to frame. I mean, it makes this a very soft shooting pistol. At the range when we're shooting, I mean, it's a very manageable to shoot, whether you're shooting rapid or you're shooting slow. The recoil management is just really well done for this pistol. It also has memory notches right here on the side of the frame, so you can take that finger, put it here, or you could take your thumb when you're firing it and rest it on that memory notch, and it gives it just a little more recoil mitigation. So a great concealed carry gun, budget priced. And guys, I'm telling you, Taurus has stepped up their game, and the GX4 is one of my top guns of 2021. Now, last on the list, and the second runner-up, but guys, honestly, I had this in the top 5, and I kind of moved them back and forth. Because the reason why I left this at the last is because this has been out for a little while. But in 2021, that was my first experience with a Kimber Revolver. And this is the K6S. It's their 2-inch model. It's in .357 Magnum. We're going to push the cylinder, go ahead and make sure it's unloaded. It holds 6 rounds. It is an absolute beautiful finish on this revolver. It has the internal hammer, so you can keep this in a pocket. You can shoot it out of your pocket. Beautiful rosewood grips. Very nice shroud here that covers your ejector rod. Another thing I like are the flats on the cylinders, which make this really thin. Guys, I'll just tell you, I've been carrying this quite a bit as my concealed carry because it's just a really high quality firearm. And it does have 6 rounds, but in .357 Magnum, it gives you some power behind it. The sights, especially the rear sight, is dovetailed into the frame. It does have serrations. It's got a little slot, and then the front is a fiber optic front sight. And you can change out your sights. Kimber carries the night sights for this if you want to do that as well. And there are a number of different models. In fact, I even did a review on the 6-inch model, and it was really just a smooth shooting firearm. But one of the things about this little Kimber, it's really small, it's very dependable, it is very well finished, very smooth to shoot. Even in .357 Magnum, the recoil is not that bad for a pistol like this, and it is all steel framed. So that's going to help with recoil as well. You want to bring it down to 38 plus P, and that's a great round as well. Gives you a little less recoil. But if you want to jump it up to .357 Magnum, you've got that option as well. So the Kimber K6S, this is an excellent firearm. And guys, if you like revolvers, I highly recommend you checking out the Kimber line of revolvers. So guys, while that completes the list, there are others that I had to really struggle with not to put on here. While they're all different, they all fit different roles. And it's really great to see the firearm industry just putting out some excellent quality firearms. So guys, again, it was a tough choice. I mean, there were a number of these guns that were right on the borderline. I had to just limit it to the top 5. If you have a favorite, down below in the comments, just leave it. Tell us what your favorite is, what really tripped your trigger here in 2021. Of course, now that it's 2022, we're starting to see even more designs. And again, Golden Age of Firearms is alive and well. It's great to see all these new designs coming out. And again, we want to thank Gun Zone Deals for their support, and also for the other companies that did send firearms for us to review. And also Fiocchi Ammunition. They are excellent. Now, we really appreciate Sportsman's Guide for being one of our sponsors. And they give a $20 off every $100 or more purchase using Sootch, no 00. And they have all kind of outdoor related, camping, hiking, firearms, you name it, they've got it. But one thing that I use them probably the most for is their military surplus from around the world. And if you join their buyers club, you get a better price and you get free shipping on most items. So check out Sportsman's Guide. It's a great resource. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. These are excellent mags. They're Metgar mags, and they just make this an excellent, okay, no, that's not, that doesn't make it an excellent firearm. Taurus G4X Toro. The Taurus G4X. Oh man, I've been saying that wrong the whole time. Number 2 on the list is the Springfield Armory Xdm 10. This, is that what it is? Now for the runner-up. Now for 2 runners. Now I'm gonna, okay, so a heft, but yet again a lot of meat. Next on the list is the Springfield Armory XD G4X Turbo. Oh, Turbo. This is not a turbo. It's a Toro. This is my top 5 list plus 2. Just a lot of. That's not even it. We're already matching the spring. We're already matching the. Long live the Republic. What's up, Brock?